what happened is that Uttar Pradesh Electricity Department had dues of approximately 9 crores on the corporate debtor. However, it was allocated only 6.62 lakh as per the resolution plan approved by the NCLT dated so and so. Thereafter, Electricity Department approached the High Court. The department submitted that as per their clause of Electricity Supply Act, clearly provides that they can recover the amount from the debtors. And High Court allowed them to recover the amount from the directors, जो कंपनी ने पे नहीं करा। तो बेसिक फंडा इसके अंदर कहने का मतलब ये है कि श्योरिटी ग्रांटर्स एज पर लॉ जो भी है दे डोंट गेट बेनिफिट ऑफ ऑल दिस थिंग। ओके, एक आजकल हमारे यहाँ पे बहुत ट्रेंड अच्छा सा चला हुआ है, वेयर बाय व्हाट हैपन इज दैट कि यू नो व्हेनेवर एनी एप्लीकेशन इज फाइल्ड इधर अंडर सेक्शन 7 और सेक्शन 9, स्पेशली अंडर सेक्शन 9, तो जैसे ही एप्लीकेशन फाइल हो जाती है तो सेटलमेंट के लिए 12E के अंदर विड्रॉल की एप्लीकेशंस क्वाइट फ्रिक्वेंटली आनी शुरू हो जाती हैं। सिमिलरली हैपेंड इन दिस केस आल्सो, settlement do happen. Let me tell you the facts of the case. Operational creditor had filed Section 9 application to initiate CIRP of the CD way back in 2017. However, the parties entered a settlement agreement. Accordingly, the petition was withdrawn and the CD paid rupees 1.74 crore against principal amount and 16 lakh as interest. However, both the parties entered a dispute on calculation of the interest. OC again preferred a Section 9 application against the CD claiming a debt of 1.28 crore, which was rejected by the NCLT. OC argued that liberty was granted in the settlement agreement that in the event of any breach is committed, the applicant be revived. We sincerely feel that OC has been using IBC proceeding for recovery of disputed amount, which is not the object of the IBC, and hence his application was rejected. नो यू नो हम लोगों को इससे सीख क्या मिलती है? सीख ये मिलती है कि जब भी हम सेटलमेंट एग्रीमेंट करें तो वी शुड आल्सो सी कि जो दूसरे वाला कॉर्पोरेट डेटर है जो इस चीज का बेनिफिट उठा रहा है, ही मस्ट हैव द कैपेसिटी टू पे। अगर कल को वो रिब्यूट कर देता है या कुछ और कर देता है, देन यू नो वी आर हैंडीकैप्ड टू प्रोसीड फर्दर। Next judgment is of Way Better Entertainment Private Limited versus Pro Spotify Private Limited. In the instant case, you know what happened is that कि you know ये pre-existing dispute के ऊपर है. I just read the contents of the case. In the instance case, petitioner had provided certain services in lieu of the default committed thereof. A demand notice under Section 8 was served. However, there was no response to the same. Accordingly, an application under Section 9 of the code was filed before the Honorable Judicating Authority. That the respondent in his reply pleaded that there was a pre-existing dispute between the parties. That in view of the pre-existing dispute, the Honorable Judicating Authority had dismissed the said petition. Agreed by the same in appeal was preferred before the Honorable NCLT. The issue that arose for consideration was that if demand notice under Section 8 of the IBC is not replied, ideally what should have happened कि जब demand notice issue करा गया था उस समय उसको existing dispute का बताना चाहिए था. But he didn't reply there. Whether corporate debtor can raise pre-existing dispute in reply to the Section 9 or not. The Honorable NCLT observed that neither Section 8 nor Section 9 of the code indicate that in the event reply to demand notice was not filed within 10 days, the corporate debtor is precluded from raising the question of dispute or pleading that there was no amount due and payable. The corporate debtor is not prevented from establishing by way of reply and relevant documents any pre-existing dispute. Meaning thereby कि अगर आपने समय reply नहीं भी दिया तो बाद में आप इस issue को ले सकते हो. इसके बारे में dispute था पहले, but now NCLT has settled the issue. I think just give me some time because I feel that I am coming with the wrong slide. Let me change it. I'm just sharing my screen. Just hold on. I'm just coming to the proper slide. Just hold on, please. Just wait for a while because by mistake I've been able to come across wrong slide, which I'm downloading now. Okay. My slide is visible now.
It was, but right now it is not visible.
It is not there. I'm going back again. I think now it is absolutely visible.
Yes, of course.
Okay, there has been three major changes. Now I come to the main topic for which we are deliberating. It is with reference to section 170, as far as our budget 2023 is concerned. In this case, we come across, in fact, basically three major changes. One is under section 170A, another is under section 276A, and the third one is under section 28, subsection 4, subsection 194 or, and fourth one is under section 41(1). Fifth one is section 56(2), subsection 10, subsection A, and last one is we need to understand section 115JB. Anuradha, can you give me some time, because it looks to me I've been not able to present my proper slide. Just give me time. Let me search and then I come back to you. Just hold on for a while.
It doesn't matter. You take your own time, sir.
Just hold on.
Manoj, you are in mute.
Unmute. This is the third case where I said that रेशन प्लान के बारे में 3 कंफ्लिक्टिंग केसेस आए थे। पहले मैंने 2 केसेस बताए। एक केस के अंदर उन्होंने एप्लीकेशन को वापस भेज दिया फॉर रिकंसिडरेशन, दूसरे में नहीं करा। इस केस को हम पढ़ते हैं। द फैक्ट्स ऑफ द केस आर, when the ration plan is approved by the COC, financial creditors are stopped from seeking any amendment, modification in the information memorandum. What happened is there that in the case RP was Mr. Gaurav of Earthcom Universal versus Nisus करके केस था। NCLT New Delhi in this important judgment held that NCLT held that any modification after approval of the COC and submission to the adjudicating authority, irrespective of the consents of the terms and uses by the ration plan, would only lead to further delay and defeat the very scope and object of the court. When the ration plan is approved, it can't be approved by the COC. The financial creditors are stopped from seeking any amendment, modification in the information memorandum. तो इससे हमारे को ये सीख मिलती है जब एज एन आरपी कि हम जो एक बारी इंफॉर्मेशन मेमोरेंडम बनाए, इवैल्यूएशन मैट्रिक्स बनाए और जो रिलेवेंट है, दैट शुड बी वेरी फुल प्रूफ। कोर्ट्स आर नॉट अलाउइंग एनी अमेंडमेंट इवन इफ इट इज मटेरियल। This I have already discussed with you. Okay, yeah, this was the particular case. When it didn't came, then I realized that I'm working with you with some other slides. ये एक बड़ी अच्छी हमारे लिए आया कि ये क्रिप रेगुलेशन 35A 35A हमारे को टाइमलाइन देता है अवॉर्डेंस ट्रांजैक्शन की, जो कि 35A के अंदर अगर हम इसको पढ़े तो हमारे पास 3 तरह के टाइमलाइंस हैं, एक 75 डेज की, एक 115 डेज की और 130 डेज की। पहली टाइमलाइन के अंदर उनको ओपिनियन फॉर्म करना होता है, दूसरे के अंदर यानी कि ही हैज टू मेक डिटर्मिनेशन, और तीसरी के अंदर उसको एप्लीकेशन फाइल करनी होती है। तो courts have held that these are not mandatory. You can file avoidance transaction later on also. What earlier was happening was that कि अगर इस तरह से कुछ भी हमारे से गलती होती थी, court used to come blow on us and take a cognizance of our work. तो मैंने 1-2 बार तो ऐसा भी ना IBP को लिखने के लिए कह दिया कि IBP को लिख दिया जाए। So now with this NCLT judgment, it comes as a rescue to us. I just read it. CRIP Regulation 35 avoidance transaction is not mandatory and requirement for approaching the adjudicating authority for appropriate relief on or before 135th day of the insolvency commencement date. It is only directory in nature. Okay. Now PMLA के हमारे बारे में आ रहे हैं। तो PMLA एक बहुत सारा disputed situation create हो रही है in our insolvency cases. PMLA people say that they have a priority of payment even in the case of CRIP cases. But now I'm coming across two judgments whereby IBC priority over PMLA has been upheld. This is the case of MK Cables and Communication Limited versus Deputy Director Jaipur, General Office. What happened is that a PMLA would cease to have the power to attach the property at this juncture when the order of liquidation under IBC has already been passed. Second case is that if it is a case of Welspun Steel Resources Private Limited versus Union of India, ये गुजरात हाई कोर्ट की जजमेंट है। ये मेरी जितनी भी जजमेंट्स है ना, ये 21 से 22 के बाद की हैं, या एक आधे महीने के बीच में है। These are the latest judgments. तो ये इनको मैं इस करके ले रहा हूँ so that our concepts in doing CIP work get cleared and we work in a with the full knowledge. If PMLA authorities are given free hand to pass orders of attachment of properties which were acquired by a successful bidder in liquidation process, it could be contrary to the interest of the value maximization of the corporate debtor's assets by substantially reducing the chances of finding a willing RA or bidder in the liquidation. Again in this case, उन्होंने मना कर दिया कि जो SRA है उसी को जो पैसे मिलेंगे यानी कि उसको जो assets हैं उनको PMLA acquire नहीं कर सकता. Another judgment I have located is that शेयर एप्लीकेशन मनी। शेयर एप्लीकेशन मनी को अगर हम कंपनीज एक्ट के अकॉर्डिंगली देखें तो इट कैन द सिचुएशन वाज दैट कि जब अगर शेयर एप्लीकेशन मनी के अगेंस्ट शेयर्स अलॉट नहीं होते या किसी भी कारण से उसको जो हमारे रेलेवेंट सेक्शंस है कंपनीज एक्ट के उसके अंदर बाकी पैसे नहीं लिए व्हाट आर द रीजन फॉर देयर इज, तो इट हैज टू बी रिफंडेड। जब ये रिफंडेड होती तो कंपनीज एक्ट के अंदर ये लिखा गया था कि देन इट बिकम्स एन अनसिक्योर्ड क्रेडिटर। इनफैक्ट जब हमारी शेड्यूल 3 की बैलेंस शीट है, जब पहले शेड्यूल 6 की होती थी, तो रिफंडेबल शेयर एप्लीकेशन मनी वाज ऑलवेज ट्रीटेड एज unsecured debt instead of part of the capital. But NCLT Ahmedabad bench has come out, in a different way. They say that this is not financial debt, and share application money does not fall under the definition of financial debt of the IBC. This has been held by Naman Global Impacts Limited and like that by NCLT Ahmedabad branch, meaning thereby that IBC के अंदर share application money will never be treated as financial debt. Okay, another judgment I have come across is with in the name of Shraddha versus Muhammad prison case. What I just read the narration of this particular judgment, which will automatically will clear everything with reference to their only count of failure of assignee to file application to continue the proceedings. The application could not have been dismissed. The original financial creditor could have continued the proceedings of the benefit of the assignee. What happened in this case that Yes Bank filed Section 7 application. Later on, this sold their debt to a new person who was the assignee. And now the question arose before the court whether new assignee can continue the existing application of Section 7 or not. In this case, earlier there was a Supreme Court judgment which says that it can't continue. I just read it. Section 7's application was filed by Yes Bank where hearing took place before the adjudicating authority. The fact of the assignment was brought under notice and prayer was made to dismiss Section 7 application. Application was entertained by the adjudicating authority and notices were issued under the so-and-so date ko. NCLAT held that the application could have been continued and would not have been prejudicially affected the reason of acquisition of the financial asset. On NCLT allowed a new assignee to continue with the application. On the other hand, earlier, the Honorable Supreme Court in this case has considered the rules in this regard and said that failure of assignee to file application to continue proceeding, the application could not have been dismissed. So, ये जो Supreme Court का पहला स्टांस था, उसको NCLT ने deeply consider करके, overrule करा है. Secured creditors on the next my case is secured creditors are not required to maintain 30 days gap after notice under rule so and so. This is with reference to Security Act के अंदर, we can ignore it. Yes, ये एक बड़ी NCLT की अभी 2-3 दिन पहले एक बड़ी अच्छी सी judgment आई है, whereby I could not get time to read it thoroughly, but I request my IP colleagues to read it. I'm just giving it for your reference. Shifting the entire blame on resident profession on grounds of non-performance of duty and making him the scapegoat does not appear to be justified. आज तक यही हो रहा था कि हर केस के अंदर उसके अंदर आईपीएस को स्केपगॉट बनाया जा रहा था. ये एक बड़ी अच्छी सी जजमेंट आई है एनसीएलटी की. तो आई वुड लाइक दैट ऑल माय आईपी क्लियर्स शुड गो थ्रू इट सो दैट दे कैन गेट एनलाइटेंड कि उनके लिए भी कोर्ट फेवर में कर रहे हैं. Another is that an order of, this is also a very unique judgment. In this case, it has been compared कि जो हाई कोर्ट का jurisdiction है with reference to NCLT क्या है. In my opinion, this is the first judgment of this type. What happened in this case, I just read my lines. An order of the Honorable High Court shall be binding on the adjudicating authority established under Section 419, subsection 4 of the Companies Act 2013, exercising territorial jurisdiction. NCLT ने ये held करा है कि order of the the jurisdictional High Court is binding on the NCLT. Now let's try to understand implication of this particular judgment. Suppose I am sitting in Delhi. अगर मैं दिल्ली में हूं तो दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट ने अगर कोई जजमेंट करी तो ये बाइंडिंग नेचर की हो जाएगी एनसीएलटी के ऊपर. बट इट विल बी बाइंडिंग ओनली ऑन द जो हमारे यहाँ पे 6 बेंचेस हैं एनसीएलटी के, उन्हीं के ऊपर. इट विल नॉट बी बाइंडिंग ऑन चेन्नई, मुंबई और बेंगलोर और एनी अदर एनसीएलटी बेंचेस बिकॉज जुरिडिक्शन जो है दिल्ली की वो दिल्ली में ही है. not try to understand it parallelly. What parallel is there? यही अगर कोई NCLAT की जजमेंट है, यानी कि एपलेंट ट्रिब्यूनल की जजमेंट है, तो वो हर NCLT पे एप्लीकेबल होगी. I think what distinction, by referring this case, what distinction I was keen to enlighten my friends was is that कि High Court की only judgment जो है applicable है to the jurisdictional state only, और NCLT की जो judgments होंगी, these are applicable to all NCLT benches, all over India NCLT benches. ये भी एक मैंने इट्स आल्सो वेरी रिसेंट जजमेंट. हम लोगों में हमारे यहाँ पे वो 4 सेक्शन है. एक सेक्शन है 43, 45, 50, 66, जिसको हम टेक्निकली अवेयरनेस ट्रांसैक्शन या प्रॉफिट ट्रांसैक्शन कहते हैं. तो हमारे को अपनी स्किन सेव करने के लिए वी ऑलवेज डू कि वी फाइल एन एप्लीकेशन अगेंस्ट द पास्ट डायरेक्टर्स, whether there is a sufficient ground or not. In this case, NCLT set aside the order of the NCLT, disputing section 19 subsection 2 of the IBC non-competition by suspended management application and imposed a cost of 25,000 rupees on the RP. ये मैंने जजमेंट आपको इसलिए एनलाइटन करने के लिए दी है, so that you can हम लोग ये नहीं है कि ब्रांडली ही 92 की एप्लीकेशन फाइल करते रहे अगेंस्ट डायरेक्टर्स, पास्ट डायरेक्टर्स. we must see that there should be some material on it, only then we should file these applications. ओके, सिंस मेरी आज की मेन जो डेलिब्रेशन थी वो टैक्स लॉज के ऊपर थी, ये तो एक थोड़ा सा प्रेम्बल था जो मैंने आपको साथ शेयर करा है. तो बड़ी एक रिसेंट जजमेंट आई है अभी, हार्डली लास्ट वीक की जजमेंट है, वेयर बाय टैक्स अथॉरिटीज, I mean to say ITAT Delhi has held that IBC has overriding effect in the Income Tax Act, which has been specifically provided under Section 178 subsection 6 of the Income Tax Act as amended with effect from 1/11/2016. Section 178 subsection 6 क्या कहता है? With reference to our IBC overriding section, I think 232. तो ये हम अभी इसको हम बाद में डिटेल में पढ़ेंगे, लेकिन ये भी एक बड़ी अच्छी ITAT की जजमेंट है, वेयर बाय नो दे हैव हेल्ड दैट जो भी ये है, जो इनकम टैक्स के अंदर जो भी हम रिकवरीज निकालेंगे या जो असेसमेंट्स करेंगे, दैट विल नॉट हैव मच इफेक्ट ऑन द कंपनीज व्हिच आर अंडर IBC. लेकिन ये बात कितनी सच है ये ITAT की, या जो हमारी बजट्स के अंदर अब अमेंडमेंट्स आई हैं उसके हिसाब से कैसी है, ये हम आने वाली स्लाइड्स के अंदर हम इनको ध्यान से देखते हैं. Okay, before I start my deliberation on budget 2023 with reference to IBC, let me share with you that when this budget came on to be, 1 फरवरी को जब ये बजट आया था, प्रेस के अंदर, हमारी फ्रेटर्निटी के अंदर बहुत सारी डिस्कशन हो रही थी कि हमारा IBC पे इसका कुछ इफेक्ट आया या नहीं आया है. अगर हम इन चीजों को लाइटली लेंगे तो हर किसी को लग रहा होगा कोई इफेक्ट नहीं आया. बट आज मेरी ये जो बैलेंस 1 आधे घंटे की प्रेजेंटेशन है या आधे घंटे की प्रेजेंटेशन है, इसको देखने के बाद आप रियलाइज करोगे कि बजट ने बहुत मेजर चेंज लाया है. अगर इसको फाइनेंस एक्ट का पार्ट बना दिया गया तो हमारा IBC बिल्कुल का पूरा ऊपर से लेकर नीचे तक हिल जाएगा. और इनफैक्ट लॉट ऑफ प्रेस हैज आल्सो टेकन ऑफ दिस थिंग. फाइनेंशियल एक्सप्रेस के अंदर काफी आया है, वेयर बाय दे सेड दैट बजट ब्लो टू IBC ट्रांसैक्शंस. टैक्समैन के अंदर इसके ऊपर आर्टिकल्स आए हैं, वेयर बाय दे हैव सेड दैट बजट विल चेंज द budget blow to the IBC transactions. It will lead to a tax on loan waivers, or a proposed amendment in the Finance Bill 2023 may lead to taxation of loan waivers in the hands of borrowing entities, even if the loan is being utilized for capex purposes. तो अगर अगर ये प्रोविजन इफेक्टिव हो गए या इम्प्लीमेंट हो गए तो आई डोंट नो, वैसे ही कोई आपको रेजिडेंट एप्लीकेंट नहीं मिलता तो इसके बाद कौन सा रेजिडेंट एप्लीकेंट मिलने का होगा, बिकॉज taxation liability is a quite uncertain liability. In any case, अब जो भी है, but it has given us a chance to share with all of you our thoughts and processes. So let me share what the budget has brought changes in the with reference to the IBC 2016. since most of us are from the professional background, we do understand sections very well. तो इस करके मैंने तीन हमारे सेक्शंस अगर जो चेंजेस आया है उनको हम तीन पार्ट्स के अंदर डिवाइड कर सकते हैं। एक है सेक्शन 170 ई के अंदर, एक है सेक्शन 276 ई के अंदर, तीसरा जो सब्सटेंटिव चेंजेस आया है, जो मेन हमारा डेलिब्रेशन आज का टॉपिक है, वो आया है सेक्शन 28 सबसेक्शन 4 along with section 194 और लेकिन जब हमने 20 सबसेक्शन 28 सबसेक्शन 4 को समझने की कोशिश करी तो when I went deep into it तो I realized कि हमारी जो आईबीसी ट्रांजैक्शंस हैं ये हमारे अदर दो सेक्शंस हो रहे हैं जिनके अंदर ये टैक्स हो सकती हैं। एक है सेक्शन 41 सबसेक्शन 1, एक है सेक्शन 56 सबसेक्शन 2 सबसेक्शन 10 एंड सबसेक्शन ए, और 115 जेबी भी हमारा हिट होता है। 115 जेबी इज विद रेफरेंस टू मैट ट्रांजैक्शन। तो आज हम इसको बहुत डीपली स्टडी करेंगे। Hopefully I appreciate that if anybody has any question he can ask me in between, or he can ask me in the chat box also, and later on also please try to understand कि ये हमारा ये जो बजट के अंदर प्रपोजल है तो इसको फर्स्टली we try to understand कि हमारी आईबीसी ट्रांजैक्शंस टैक्सेबल हैं या नहीं है, अगर नहीं है तो क्यों नहीं है, और we shall examine this thing not only from taxation point of view but also examine it from accountant point of view also, कि हमारी अकाउंटेंसी जो हमारी क्या कहती है, हमारी इंटरनेशनल प्रैक्टिसेस क्या कहती हैं ये लोन वेवर की ट्रांजैक्शंस को या क्रेडिटर्स वेवर की ट्रांजैक्शंस की टैक्सेबिलिटी के ऊपर। तो लेट्स स्टार्ट विद इट। पहले दो चेंजेस बड़े माइनर से हैं तो आई वोंट टेक मच टाइम, आई शैल टेक मैक्सिमम टाइम in changes brought in the loan or creditor waiver under section which is hit by under section 28 subsection 4. Now let's go for the section 170A first. जो section 170 है it deals with the succession to business otherwise than on death. Section 170A deals with giving effect to order of tribunal or court in respect of business reorganization with effect from 1/4/2022. Existing provisions of Section 170A read with Rule 12 AD, which was just inserted as on 19 September 2022, wide notification number so and so, prescribes procedure for filing a modified return of income in form number ITR-A by successor entity. मैं इसको पहले ये थोड़े से ये सेक्शंस पढ़ लेते हैं, फिर उसके बाद मैं आपको एग्जांपल के साथ पूरी बात को समझाता हूँ। The period of filing was within 6 months from the end of the month when order is made by tribunal or court or adjudicating authority. Now, section has been amended to provide that EO shall give effect to such modification in his order. चलिए, अब हम इस चीज को समझने की कोशिश करते हैं। ओके, ये बेसिकली जो रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, reorganization has been a technical word used therein, but अगर हम इसकी टेक्निकलिटी जो ये these are the transactions which are related to merger acquisition type of cases which are under Companies Act also, but इनकी अप्रूवल जो है NCLT के अंदर दी जा रही है आज की डेट में। What was happening is that जनरली अगर हम लोगों ने मर्जर के केसेस करे ही होंगे तो मर्जर की जो होता था वो 1 अप्रैल ऑफ स्टार्ट ऑफ द फाइनेंशियल ईयर की डेट पे हम लोग एप्लीकेशन डाल देते थे। जब हम मान के चलो हमने कोई एप्लीकेशन डाल दी 1/4/21 में, जब 1/4/21 हमने कह दिया कि ये दो कंपनी का मर्जर हो गया, हमने उसकी एप्लीकेशन कोर्ट में डाल दी। कोर्ट जो है जनरली 2-3 साल ले लेते थे उसका ऑर्डर देने में कि वेदर मर्जर और एक्विजिशन और एब्जॉर्प्शन विल बी अलाउड और नॉट। अब सपोज कर लो उन्होंने अलाउ कर दिया, और ये उन्होंने अलाउ करा जाके 1/4/21 की एप्लीकेशन उन्होंने अलाउ करा ये आज यानी कि मान के चलो 25/3/23 को। अब जब 25/3/23 को उन्होंने ऑर्डर दिया तो ये ऑर्डर इज अफेक्टेड फ्रॉम 1/4/21 से। तो जब 1/4/21 से था तो अब 21/22 की रिटर्न या पार्शली 22 की रिटर्न उसको आप कैसे करोगे? हो ये रहा था, एग्जिस्टिंग प्रैक्टिस ये थी कि जैसे ही इन कंपनीज का मर्जर का ऐसे हम एप्लीकेशन फाइल कर देते थे तो जो पुरानी वाली एंटिटी होती थी तो हम उसी के लिए वो रिटर्न्स वगैरह ITR फाइलिंग वगैरह करते थे व्हेनेवर अ ईयर एक्सीड्स नाउ। तो अब इन्होंने ये कह दिया है कि गवर्नमेंट आल्सो रियलाइज दिस थिंग कि ये प्रॉपर नहीं है। रीजन फॉर दैट इज कि नई एंटिटी जो है वही उसी का स्टेटस पास डेट से इफेक्टिव है। तो दे लास्ट ईयर दे ब्रॉट अ चेंज कि जब भी कोई इस तरह की नई एंटिटी एग्जिट होती है, तो जो अपने पुरानी रिटर्न ने फाइल करी हुई है उसके अंदर जो भी इस ऑर्डर करके चेंज आया है, फॉर एग्जांपल ए कंपनी को बी कंपनी ने सपोज कर लो अक्वायर कर लिया, तो बी कंपनी ने अपनी रिटर्न फाइल करी है विदाउट ए कंपनीज फाइनेंशियल डाटा। तो वो जो बी कंपनी जो है, अब उसके अंदर जब उसको ए कंपनी के मर्जर का ऑर्डर मिला तो अपनी रिटर्न को वो रिवाइज करेगी विद इन 6 मंथ्स। और ये उसका जो रिटर्न फॉर्म है वो ये है। मोस्ट ऑफली ये किसी ने आज तक ऐसा करा नहीं होगा, बिकॉज ये जो फॉर्म ही जो है ये 19 दिसंबर 2022 को प्रिस्क्राइब हुआ है। तो अभी 6 महीने अगर हम करें तो अभी टाइम है इसके अंदर। तो लेकिन जो इस बजट के अंदर चेंज आया था वो ये आया था कि अगर एओ ने कोई उसकी स्क्रूटनी कर रही है, उस ऑर्डर की कुछ कर रही है, तो वो एक मॉडिफाइड ऑर्डर पास करेगा वेयर बाय सेइंग दिस थिंग कि ये जो है इस मर्जर का उसका क्या इफेक्ट होगा। अब देखिए ये चेंज अगर आप इसको थोड़ा सा डीपली समझने की कोशिश करें, इट विल हैव अ वेरी वेरी बिग चेंज। अब ईओ को पता चल जाएगा कि जो लोन वेवर के ट्रांजेक्शन्स हैं उनके बारे में मेरे को क्या कॉल लेनी है। पहले तो उसको कॉल लेनी या नहीं लेनी, एक he can overlook it also or he can oversight it also, but with this amendment, especially in the case of amalgamation and other things, he will keenly absorb all these things. Second change आया है जी हमारा सेक्शन 276A। ये बेसिकली हमारी मोदी गवर्नमेंट जी की एक पॉलिसी हो गई है कि वो हर एक्ट को, हर चीज को डीक्रिमिनलाइज कर रहे हैं। तो जब वो सिमिलरली उन्होंने इनकम टैक्स एक्ट के भी कुछ सेक्शंस को जो डीक्रिमिनलाइज करा। डीक्रिमिनलाइजेशन का मतलब ये है कि अगर कहीं पे आज की डेट में किसी चीज का वायलेशन पे कैद होती थी या क्रिमिनल एक्शन लिया जाता था, उसको खत्म करके आज की डेट में उनके ऊपर सिविल एक्शन लिया जाएगा, उनके ऊपर वॉलंटरी पेनल्टी डाली जाएगी। if you remember, this is quite prevalent in the case of गल्फ कंट्रीज कि वेयर बाय जैसे कि हमारे को पैसे दे दो, हम अपनी जेल का खर्चा क्या आपके ऊपर और अननेसेसरी खर्च करें एंड गेट रिड ऑफ एवरीथिंग। तो 276 क्या कहता है? लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट 276 के अंदर चेंजेस क्या है। Liquidator under section 178 subsection 1 was obliged to give notice to EO for the start of the liquidation proceedings. मैं तो खैर अपनी हर केस के अंदर देता हूं, मोस्ट ऑफली आप भी देते होंगे डिस्पाइट जो भी इसके आगे पिटफॉल्स हैं। Under section 178 subsection 3, liquidator is obliged to not part with the properties until unless the concerned assessing officer जो CIT रेंज का होता है उसको आप नोटिफाई करते हो। लेकिन ये क्लॉजेज जो थी हमारी आईबीसी के ऊपर एप्लीकेबल नहीं थी बिकॉज ऑफ प्रिजो टू सबसेक्शन 6 दिया होता, वेयर बाय दे सेड, जो हमने पहले भी पढ़ा था कि ये जब से हमारा आईबीसी आया तब से उन्होंने कह दिया कि आईबीसी प्रोसीडिंग्स आर बीइंग मॉनिटर्ड बाय द एनसीएलटी आल्सो, हेंस वी डोंट नीड टू पुट ऑल दिस सॉर्ट ऑफ रिस्ट्रिक्शंस फॉर आईबीसी केसेस। बट अगर कोई इस तरह का लिक्विडेशन कंपनीज एक्ट के अंदर है पुरानी, तो उसके लिए ये क्लॉजेस अभी भी एप्लीकेबल है और पहले भी थी। अगर हम इन दोनों में से 178 सबसेक्शन 1 और 178 सबसेक्शन 3 का कोई काम नहीं करते थे इधर इन द कंपनी एक्ट अर्लियर, तो इसके लिए 2 सालों की प्रिजनमेंट प्रिस्क्राइब करी गई थी फॉर वायलेशन ऑफ एनी ऑफ दीज 2 प्रोविजंस। Now it has been scrapped with effect from 1/4/2023, meaning thereby कि अगर आपने इन्फॉर्म नहीं करा या वो नहीं करा, बिकॉज मैंने इसको इस करके लिया है कि अब जो मर्जर एक्विजिशन की एप्लीकेशन है एनसीएलटी के थ्रू हो रही हैं, तो वी नीड टू बी टेकन केयर ऑफ दिस थिंग, और नो दिस प्रोविजन हैज बीन स्क्रैप्ड। Now let's come to our main topic, the core of the topic जिसके लिए हमने ये वेबिनार आज रखा था। Anuradha ji, I would like to ask, is there any question from anybody, either from my past slides or something near there?
There are no questions. Just Ravi Devraji, he said, can the years be mentioned in English, not Hindi dates?
Okay. I can speak everything in English also, but staying in northern India, we have the tongue of speaking English. English means Adi Hindi, Adi English. In any case, I shall speak dates in Hindi, English, and try to deliberate maximum English also. I would like to ask audience if they have any clarification, anything else they want to, understand from me. Okay. The controversy has come out to be under section by amendment in the section 28 subsection 4, but we shall read it along with section 194 or. Section 194 or deals with the TDS prison. Section 28 subsection 4 deals with what is the income under business and profession. Section 20, under section 28 subsection 4, it says any benefit in the course of business or profession is treated as income from business and profession, and TDS against it, such income is to be deducted under section 194. अनुराधा जी, अगर बीच में कोई डिस्टर्बेंस आती है तो आप प्लीज उनको म्यूट कर देना. तो TDS against such income is to be deducted under section 194R. The rate of TDS deduction is 10%. चलिए, अब जब सेक्शन 128(4) ये कह रहा है कि एनी बेनिफिट इन द कोर्स ऑफ बिजनेस और प्रोफेशन बी TDS एंड इनकम एंड टैक्सेबल अंडर बिजनेस प्रोफेशन, तो लेट्स वी आस्क आवरसेल्फ a question. क्या whether loan creditor interest waiver is a benefit or not? If it is a benefit, if any corporate debtor get benefited because of such waiver, because of such haircut, because haircut is a loss to the creditor, but at the same time it is a benefit to the corporate debtor. So should these transactions be not taxable under Income Tax Act? If so, then why no tax is being paid or provision made in the resolution plan for it? Let's understand all this in the forthcoming slides. Okay, before we move to understand all this thing, let's understand what chargeability is there. Chargeability mean ki whether this particular act, how under this particular act the prison is applicable on the concerned entity or to the concerned persons, or how this statute is basically applicable. Let's understand, since we are the IBC students, let's understand it from IBC instead of directly moving to the income tax. Under IBC, we have section 2. Section 2 says that it has section after section 2 we have subsection 1, 2, 3, 4, then A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It says that it is IBC Act is applicable on corporates. Later on, it has been made applicable to the corporate grantor, to the personal grantor to the corporate debtors also, but still it is has not been made applicable to the individuals and partnership firms as per subsection 2 of subsection F and G. Why I'm telling you this thing? Because in the coming slides, we need to conceptually clear that whether our loan waiver transactions are as per law taxable or not. Those transactions will be taxable only when Income Tax Act provides them that they are chargeable under these particular circumstances or under these sections. Chargeability under income tax is under section 3, subsection 4, and subsection under section 2 and subsection 24. Now let's see basically what these are the sections which give a power to the income tax department to charge tax against us. What are these sections? Very, very briefly. Section 3 says no tax can be collected without the authority of law. Section 4 says income tax is charged total income of the previous year. Section 2, subsection 24 defines term income, which means all the receipts of revenue nature, unless specifically exempted, are chargeable to tax. Now try to understand that all receipts of revenue nature are taxable. Loan taker is not normally a kind of receipt which will be treated as an income. Let's make a distinction. When we are taking a loan, it is not a kind of receipt which can be treated as an income or a revenue in nature. However, when a part of the debt loan is waived by the creditor, some benefit accrues to the assessee. What would be the character of such benefit accrued to the assessee? Definitely, if we plainly read section 28 subsection 4, it should be taxable. It is not like that. I just give you a very crude example whereby capital gain is not taxable. That is sale of FSI. What happened is that in Mumbai and other places, people, if anybody is from the Mumbai, he can understand it is the floor space index. What happened is that in Mumbai, government, when they acquire their land or property, instead of giving you property or payment against it, they give you a sort of the right to buy some space in anywhere. For example, they have taken your 100 yards home and they have probably given you FSI of say 1,000 square feet. That 1,000 square feet we can construct at any place in Mumbai, subject to their bylaws and all these things. And if any income is earned against that, then that income is not taxable under income tax law. Reason for that was there because under chapters section of capital gain, there was no cost involved in it. Courts have held that when there is no cost involved in it, we cannot calculate the capital gain, and hence there is an ambiguity and hence no taxability there. Giving you example for this thing was the only reason that so that you can understand that taxation prisons has to be taken very, very strictly unless it is absolutely clear that this particular transaction is taxable. Only then that particular transaction can be taxed. Okay, now let's understand what controversies this budget 2023 have created. Waived off loans means a situation wherein the lender voluntarily relieves the borrower of the obligation or liability to repay loan. Nothing, normal thing. This means that he has got some benefit as defined under section 28 subsection 4. Now the question is whether such waived off loan shall be income and be subject to tax. Law is well settled, and that an implied power of tax does not exist in Indian tax regime. Several judicial pronouncements have dealt with this subject matter. This is what I said. Honorable Apex Court in LSC Securities Limited versus so and so has settled the principle of taxation. It says in interpreting a taxation statute, equitable consideration are entirely out of place. Taxing statutes can't be interpreted on any presumption or assumptions. A taxing statute has to be interpreted in the light of what is clearly expressed. It can't imply anything which is not expressed. It can't imply provisions of the statute so as to supply any deficiency. Before taxing any person, it must be shown that he falls within the ambit of charging section by clear words used in the section. And if words are ambiguous and open to two interpretations, the benefit of interpretation is given to the subject. In this case, interpretation is it is a capital receipt and not taxable. Meaning thereby, if government wants to tax any particular transaction, they have to 100% say that this transaction is taxable. And if there is any ambiguity, इसी ambiguity का हम लोग later stage पे फायदा उठाएंगे कि इनके existing provision के अंदर भी क्या ambiguity आ रही है, तो then they can't tax us. Ambiguity can be of any nature, which shall I'll let you know in my later slides. अब हम देखते हैं कि ये बजट ने क्या कंट्रोवर्सी रेज करी. Till budget 2023, Honorable Supreme Court in the case of Commissioner versus Mindra and Mindra Limited interpreted that section 28 subsection 4 is applicable only on non-cash transaction. Hence, loan waiver being cash transaction, taxes will not leave it. Most probably you people be aware of it. If you are not aware of it, then I am clearing your concepts. Now, budget 2023 plugged this loophole interpretation and proposes that cash transactions are also taxable, and against these cash transactions, TDS under section 194R at the rate of 10% shall also be deducted against such transactions. Meaning thereby, if we clearly read this section 28 subsection 4 has said that loan waiver will be taxable. or against that TDS by the waiver. Say if let's say waiver can be of creditor can be of two types. One is banker and another is our sundry creditors. With whom we call in our IBC language, we call them financial creditors and operational creditors. If there is any waiver from both of them, then TDS has to be deducted by them now at the rate of 10%. If we plainly read this particular amendment in the budget 2023. Now let's understand this thing with an example. Say if 1 crore loan is there, haircut against that is say 80%. Now 20,000 rupees is amount he got paid. Balance on against 80,000 rupees, he has to deduct 10% TDS, meaning thereby that resident applicant has to either pay 20 minus what you call it 8 or 20 plus 8 will be there. But that is not a situation. There has been an exemption granted to the banking sector. But please note that specific exemption, please understand this exemption has been granted only under section 194R for deduction of TDS, not from the, not from the applicability of income under section 28 subsection 4. Please note specific exemption was provided to banking industry as per CBDT circular number so and so dated so and so from assessment year 23-24 on the ground that it shall be very hard for banks as they would need to incur the additional cost of tax reduction in addition to the haircut that they have taken. As a result of which no TDS was required to be deducted by the banking industry. But if you come to the operational creditor side, no such exemption is there. In the case of operational creditor, if you read the law plainly, they were supposed to deduct the 10% the 10% TDS against the haircut. Okay. Before we move into the taxation concept, let's try to understand as far as loan creditors or interest waiver is concerned, what our accountancy says. We need to understand it from our accountancy angle also. If we compare ourselves, any law, whether that is an IBC law or whether that is an what we call it income tax law, their basis should have been only accountancy. If in accountancy that particular transaction is not a revenue in nature, then how at least income tax can say that we treat it, despite it being need or not in revenue nature, we should tax it. Now let's see the accounting concept of loan, creditor, and interest waiver. अब जब भी accountancy वाले को समझ नहीं है तो we need to go to the ICAI. कि ICAI इसके बारे में क्या कहता है? When I did R&D for this presentation purpose, so then I realized that we have our accountings. We have two types of accounting standards. One is IND-AS 109, IND-AS, and another is ES. IND-AS is applicable to, as we know everybody, that IND-AS is applicable to the companies having a net worth of more than 250 crore rupees. Other than all, it is applicable, all AS standards are applicable, which are also known as GAAP standards. So when I delve into these standards, I realized that under IND-AS, IND-AS 109 deals with derecognition of any financial liability, and as per para 3.3.3, which deals with derecognition of financial liability, it says, okay, I come to it later on. As far as our accounting standard 30 is concerned, which is applicable to all those companies whose net worth is less than 250 crore, plus individual partnership and other forms also, although they have not come into the picture yet, but accounting standards are applicable to them also. It says financial instruments recognize at measurement, and para 45 therein deals with the recognition of a financial liability. Along with it, we shall understand the concept of capital reserve also. because it is also very important. आज की डेट में हम जो IBC की ट्रांजैक्शंस का जो नेट फैक्टर था उसको कैपिटल रिजर्व के थ्रू ले जा रहे हैं, तो whether that particular treatment is as per accountancy or not, we shall understand it that also. No, this is the para 3.3.3 says of India's 109. The difference between the carrying amount of any financial liability or part of the financial liability extinguished or transferred to another party and the consideration paid, including any non-cash assets transferred or liabilities assumed, shall be recognized in profit or loss account. Meaning thereby कि हमारा India's 109 बड़ा clear वैसे कहता है कि any loan waiver has to be routed through profit and loss account. ES 30 का पैरा 45 क्या कहता है? The difference between the carrying amount of any financial liability or so and so, including any non-cash asset, shall be recognized in the statement of profit and loss account. ये बातें जब हमारी एक्सपर्ट एडवाइजरी कमेटी से पूछी गई in many of their opinions, they were also very firm that waiver of loans has to be routed through profit and loss account. But what we are doing, what we are doing in the case of recasting of balance sheets, whatever difference between assets and liability comes out with that we put in the capital reserve. I'm also doing the same thing. I can't pay MAT on the extinguishment of my liabilities, whereby I increase my book profit and then pay taxes under 115J. I'm also doing the same thing, but this treatment is correct or not, but definitely a controversial treatment. Capital reserve is defined in the guidance note to term used in financial statement, which says capital reserve is a reserve set aside for some exceptional purposes or meet future contingencies and definitely not available for distribution as dividend. They have given examples in this guidance note. These are, in these 4 examples, we don't fall. I think now you've been impressed at what treatment we are giving in case of loan waivers, in case of restructuring a balance sheet, is perhaps not as per accountant's perspective. Now, why we are not using it? Because if we route it through this thing P&L account, which are these Indias and ESs, then we have to pay MAT against those transactions. When I also did a little bit of research on it, and now I try to find answer what other can be the reason for that. When I read the articles, I come across that these are also some of the plausible reasons where because of which these are not routed through profit and loss accounts. When we have a mindset of doing some particular thing, then we start finding logic and reasons for that also. So what logic and reasons of not routing through our loan waivers and through capital reserve, I found these are some reasons for that. ES 30 de-recognizes with effect from 15/11/2016 and guidance note on accounting for derivative contracts issued in June 2015, which was revised in 6/7/21 to replace ES 30, 31, and 32. But nothing concrete is there in the revised ES 30. Sorry, in the revised accounted for derivative contracts. Second logic, one person has given is that since loan is a balance sheet item, it should be adjusted there and only rather than routing through profit and loss account, especially when there is no guidance available against it. If I try to search the international practices. International practices are also ambiguous. There is an ambiguity in it, and in fact, I could not find anything which, with concrete, with concrete confidence, I can say to you that this is the best international practice. Statutory mainly tests out with the recognizing their understanding of tax laws, ignoring. But what happening with the tax department is that they have their own logic. They don't agree with the logic of the accountant. They don't agree with the logic of the ICI. They say what our text says, and in which similarly judgments have also been given that what in our eye will be taxable, we shall proceed with that only. What they say. When question of charging sections come, which earlier I've shared with you under section 3 subsection under 2 under section 2 subsection 24, I found that there are 3 subsections which are chargeable section which can cover loan waiver transactions. Section 28, subsection 4, I'm again repeating, of the Act says that interlay that the value of any benefit or purchase arising from business, whether convertible into money or not, should be taxable as business income. Section 41, subsection 1 of the Act provides that interlay that if an allowance or deduction has been claimed by an assessee in respect of a trading liability and subsequently obtains some benefit in respect of such trading liability by way of remission or cessation thereof in cash or in any other matter, such amount is deemed to be the business income of the borrower. It's, I've written it in a very plain language, even if non-CS can also understand it very well. Section 56, subsection 2, subsection 10, subsection A of the Act inter alia provides that where any person receives in any previous year any sum of money without consideration, the aggregate sum of which is chargeable to tax as income from other sources if such sum exceeds rupees 50,000. Now, plainly, if we read section 28, subsection 4 says that it should be there. But since we are not doing it, we need to plan for that. We need to think for it. But, one reason I found for this is that this particular, as mentioned in the section 28, subsection 4, because I earlier, try to teach you that if they want to tax any transaction, it has to be strictly due. In section 28, subsection 4, they have written the word business and profession. Benefit or purchase arises out of business and profession. Is it arising out of business or profession? We have an answer no, because all our cases are under the order of NCLT or NCLT. So when some court is directing us, and any act is not voluntarily, then we can say that section 28, subsection 4 is not applicable. Hence, loan waiver is not taxable to us under section 28, subsection 4. Second situation is, if we read the language of 28, subsection 4, it says any payment received. When we get the loan, at that time we receive the payment. But when the loan is being waived, no payment is being made. Try to understand. When there is no payment is being made, then section 28, subsection 4 language itself says, then it can't be taxable under section 28, subsection 4. No, payment goes only at the time. But I'm going one step further. However, need to mention clearly in action plan under relief and concession column and pre-adjudicated to mention the same in their order also. Why I have chosen this line for you is that because we have section 238 of IBC, which says that it exceeds income tax act, and this this exceeding power of the 138 has also been recognized in under income tax act also under section 178 subsection 6, meaning thereby that in in our ration plan wherever we have relief and concession, we should mention now clearly that relief should be granted to us under section 28 subsection 4. Now let's think for the section, because it can give you benefit if any dispute arises later on. Section 194 are not taxable, but it's a now let's see. As I told that there's a circular in the case of banks whereby they are not need to deduct any TTS, but this thing is not applicable in the case of operational creditors. Meaning thereby that if 28 subsection 4 is made applicable and amount is taxable, then parallel provision under section 194 TDS is required to be deducted. For this, I thought of a planning whereby I say that let's see the objective of section 194 are. What objective was there? I just read it first. Section 194 are not taxable, but its objective is to detect tax evasion for stated transactions which are not remotely related to loan waivers, hence can't be applied to IBC cases 2016 there. What I'm telling you, what I'm trying to make you to understand is that even in the case of operational creditors, loan is waived. After this amendment, they are not required to deduct TDS. Why they are not required to deduct TDS? Why I'm giving you a logic. Well, let's see the preamble of the section, memorandum of the section 194R when it was brought into statute 2 years ago. What happened that in the case of big companies, when they were providing some non-cash benefits to their dealer, for example, they say that on a particular amount of sales, let's take the example of a Cadbury company. They say that if in a particular area you made the sale of 100 crore rupees, we shall give you a Mercedes as an incentive. Now, what happens is that whenever they give this Mercedes to that particular dealer, that Mercedes, cost of Mercedes, they claim as an expense there, as a business promotion expense there under section 36 of subsection 1, subsection 3. But this, receipt of Mercedes was never declared by the dealer, and hence, he never declared it as his business income. As a result of it, this transaction remained undetected. Income tax authorities came out in the budget and said that let's deduct TDS scale set. Once we deduct the TDS scale set, then we should come across that this particular transaction is taxable. But is that objective for IBC transactions? Not at all. When 194R is not brought with that objective, then we have a ground to say that in the case of creditors, no TDS should be deducted for loan waiver transactions under IBC. I'm telling you about operational creditors. I've already repeated that in the case of bank industry, there is a circular which says that no TDS is required to be deducted for loan waiver transactions. Okay. Now, I've given you a thought process whereby I've told that under section 28 subsection 4 it is taxable. This thing happened earlier also, not only with the proposement in the budget. What happened is that I just read it, that it can be seen that the assets given as benefit or perquisite may be capital asset in general sense of the terms like car, land, etc. But in the heads of recipient, it is benefit or perquisite and has accordingly been held to be taxable. I've come across 5-6 cases whereby, although apparently it looks like to be a loan transaction or a side of transaction whereby some capital asset is being used, and then you can argue that only revenue receipts are taxable. Then why this is being taxable? These are instances. I'm already 4:30 is there. My conclusion time is there. I'm just passing it over. So these instances you can read it later on also. These case laws whereby even capital receipts has been taxed. These are five instances I found. You can read it there. Okay. ये मैंने आपको यानी कि this I've already explained to you. I'm moving now. Okay, now let's come to the point that why no TDS was being deducted under section 194R. Honorable Supreme Court in the judgment of Commissioner versus Mitra and Mitra held that in order to invoke the provision of section 28 subsection 4, which requires direction of section 194 also, the benefit which was received was to be in some other than in the shape of money. A waiver of loan is a cash receipt. Section 28 subsection 4 does not come into picture. Please note that cash receipts includes receipts through banking channels. Further understand carefully value of any benefit or purposes arising from business. Meaning thereby ki jo, which we discussed, Mindra and Mindra was coming out for RSQ, whereby it says that this transaction, cash transaction is not taxable. Loan waiver is a cash transaction, and similarly 194R is also not applicable. But this interpretation has been overridden by the budget 2023, which after becoming Finance Act 2023, TDS shall be directed at the rate of 10% on all such transactions. On all such transactions mean on all such loan waivers. Now let's try to understand taxability under section 41 subsection 1. It is stated if any benefit arises from remission or cessation of any trading liability. Before we move further, let's understand the following types of loans and interest. Now I try to, for the sake of understanding, I try to divide all loans into these four parts: term loan, cash credit, working capital loan, interest on loan capitalized, interest on loan claimed as an expense. Now what judicial pronouncements are there, what they say. Honorable Supreme Court in the Commission of so-and-so, by observing that waiver of loans taken for capital assets amount to cessation of liability other than trading liability, hence not taxable. Not taxable under section 41(1). Try to remember, I would like to emphasize the words trading liability. Mindra and Mindra versus so-and-so was held that as tooling constitute capital asset and not stock in trade, hence not section 41(1) is not applicable. But Delhi High Court has given a different view. In the case of Logitronics Private Limited, Delhi High Court held that waiver definitely gives some benefit to the assessee. Whether it is to be treated as capital receipts or income chargeable to tax would depend upon the purpose for which the said loan was taken. If the loan was taken for acquiring a capital asset, waiver thereof would not amount to any income eligible for tax. But on the other hand, if the loan was taken for trading purpose and was treated as such from the very beginning in the books of account, the waiver therefore may result in the income, more so when it was transferred to the profit and loss account. Similarly, in another case of Roller Tainers Limited, Delhi High Court has held. They have considered there in the judgment of the Mindra and Mindra also held that waiver of term loans given by financial institution can't be treated as income in the hands of assessee. It is only the writing of loans or cash credit, which was a seat for carrying on day-to-day operation of the assessee, which is to be treated as income in the hands of the assessee. Conclusion क्या है? इसका conclusion ये है, loan for purchase of capital asset or capitalized interest, जिसको which we call term loan, is not taxable. Claimed as an expense earlier. For example, if against that particular term loan we have claimed interest against that as an expense, in the profit and loss account. Say we took a loan in 2020, and any interest against that particular term loan was debited to the profit and loss account. In that case, it is taxable. Now, when it is taxable, then what safeguard or planning tool we have? Only thing we can say is that it is against the adjudicating authority and hence order of the adjudicating authority, not by doing business and profession. Again, what I requested you earlier to try to mention it in your plan approval also under relief and concessions, that no tax liability shall come to the SRA under section 41 subsection 1. Okay, this was all for section 41. Now let's come to the section 56 subsection 2 subsection 10, other charging section which can charge loan waiver also. What this says in this case, the judgment of this Mindra and Mindra is very important. Apex Court in the case of CIT versus Mindra and Mindra has held that waiver of loan amounts should seat in the hands of debtor. Considering this, the department may make a rendition under this section. 56(2) subsection 10. It is apt to reproduce a relevant portion of the section as follows. Where any person in any previous year from any person or after so and so any sum of money without consideration, the aggregate value which exceeds 50,000 rupees, the whole of aggregate value of such sum. Meaning thereby, it says that if any money is received, then it has to be taxable. Mithra and Mithra said that loan receipt is a sort of money which you are receiving. But lacuna there is that the above section is applicable when the assessor receives any sum of money without consideration and the aggregate value exceeds 50,000 rupees. Meaning thereby, let's understand section history 6 subsection 2 subsection 10 from practical angle. किसी के पास पिताजी के पास पैसे पड़े हुए थे, उन्होंने he gave the money to his son or he gave the money to someone else. It happens quite frequently in agriculture also, whereby they say that we have earned income in agriculture, होते उनके नंबर 2 के पैसे थे and they give that money to this there. तो उस चीज को क्लब करने के लिए they have brought कि अगर कोई भी किसी को ऐसा पैसा देता है and that is without consideration, then it is taxable. Okay, this is what I said. The said section was introduced with the intent to curb the malpractice being followed by the assessor to bring their own undisclosed money to the economic sector through other persons by accepting cash without paying due taxes, so and so and so and so. It can't be said that purpose of which the section has brought to statute book is being attained by taxing waiver of loan by the creditor. Further, going by the provision of this section, in case of waiver of loan, whether it can be said that debtor loanee has received such money without consideration. This is a logic to override it. Undoubtedly, advancement of loan is for a consideration of interest. Therefore, advancement of loan can't be said to be without consideration. However, due to various reasons like losses, etc., the loan account of the debtor loanee may become NP and chances of recovery from such outcome becomes remote. To recover whatever amount possible, creditor bank offer one-time settlement with some other terms and conditions, and fulfilling such terms and conditions nothing but the consideration for such waiver. Hence, the amount received by the debtor loanee in the form of waiver of loan can't be said to be without consideration. Therefore, provision of section so and so is not applicable for taxability. These are the scapegoats or scapegoats I am providing you. Ultimately, it will be decided by the courts only, whether these are as per the provisions of income tax act or not. But we need to understand how we can get rid of these provisions. When I was preparing this PPT, I come across two more practical situations also. Another was that many a times we see that loan becomes time barred. Is that taxable? 3 साल अगर confirmation नहीं ली, especially it happens with the creditors and term loans also. This situation has been dealt by the Supreme Court, and the court had held that if an amount is received in the course of trading transaction, even though it is not, meaning thereby that they say that if this transaction is with reference to operational creditors in our language, then that money is taxable. Term loan even now is not taxable, even in case of time-bound loan also. Okay, if there is a loan waiver, now let's see what underlying presumption is there. Until unless we do mention it clearly, because any loan waiver, any outstanding amount can consist of interest and principal. So this thing has been held by the Privy Council, that in case of outstanding amount, which if no distinction is made, then interest amount is to be treated first and the loan amount is to be treated later on. Meaning thereby, any waiver has to be first against the interest amount and second against the term loan amount. And accordingly, it will be taxable. Okay, now my last point come out to be there of MAT provisions, which is under section 115 JB. 115 JB, what it says, let's see the objective of MAT provision. it was brought into a picture whereby a lot of the firms were showing very high profit as far as book profit is concerned, but in computation they were claiming a lot of reductions, mainly in the form of depreciation, additional depreciation, otherwise, and paying nil taxes. Just to cover those reasons there, they brought that in case of book profit, 18.5% of the tax shall be applicable accordingly. But is IBC companies are aligned to this objective? No, they are not aligned to this objective. When they are not aligned to this objective, then MAT provision should not be applicable on them. This is all, I think I've been able to understand, make you to understand how taxability of loan waiver will be there and what we need to plan practically for all this thing there in our plan, whereby we can save the SRA also, and we can save the CD also. But in my, in our opinion, in the opinion of our association, which we discuss sometimes internally, and in fact, my personal opinion, फाइनेंस एक्ट अभी तो ये बजट है, अब फाइनेंस एक्ट नहीं बना. फाइनेंस एक्ट 2023 must clarify that no tax is payable for IBC companies by asserting appropriate clarification in section 28 subsection 4, because this benefit has not arisen in the ordinary course of business and profession. In the case of remission of the IBC transactions are not are trading liability, cessation or remission of trading liability was not covered. And IBC transaction or overall when we restructure the whole company in itself is a big consideration. Hence, this particular section should not be applicable. And there should be a special proviso, like many other proviso, that MAT should not be applicable to the IBC companies. If government comes out in the budget with all this clarification, then litigation will be very less. And I think that will be something very good. And this is all I have for you. Now I can take up, stop my presentation. And I would like to ask my audience if they want to have any clarification or anything from me so that I can enlighten them.
Thank you, Manoj. Thank you for such a nice deliberation and diving deep into income tax and the Finance Act, finance amendments, as well as the IBC. There is one question from Ravi Devara Konda sir. In case we acquisition of CD under CRP has receivable of rupees 100 crores and the plan amount was rupees 20 crores and an amount of rupees 50 crore is realized ultimately, will rupees 30 crore be taxable due to excess realization?
He's talking about in the case of debtors. Okay. In the case of debtors, when he was writing off against that particular 100 crore rupees, his writing of 80 crore rupees, when he was writing off 80 crore rupees, it was debited to the profit and loss account or routed through the reserve. Now, only thing is that this particular 80 crore writing off is get reduced to 50 crore only. So difference can never be taxable. It's a basically reduction in writing off. It's not an income. It shall not be taxable because what taxability is there, that taxability is not with reference to the debtors. It is only with reference to writing off of the creditors or the loan givers.
One more thing I wanted to ask कि India's की balance sheets बनाते हैं अगर हम IBC companies में, like the cases are stretched for 1 year or more, and we are RP is supposed to make the balance sheet. In that case, financial assets or financial liabilities किस value पे डालेंगे? Fair value पे डालेंगे हम लोग?
देखिए, इंडिया तो यही कहता है कि आपको फेयर मार्केट वैल्यू पे लेनी है, लेकिन प्रैक्टिकली फेयर मार्केट वैल्यू को डिटरमाइन करना बड़ा मुश्किल है. आप उसको तब तक डिटरमाइन नहीं कर सकते थे जब तक आपका प्लान अप्रूव नहीं होता, जब उसका कोई ऑर्डर नहीं आता. So as a result of this, me also, we are also carrying all the thing in the book value only. But only thing is you be also doing it. आप इस चीज को clarify करते हुए अपनी notes to accounts के अंदर दे ही देते हैं कि ये company under Ind AS and like that करके, whereby the reader can very easily understand that जो value दिखाई गई है वो fair market value can be fluctuating.
So this is this we understand, but the auditors do not understand this thing, ना? जिनसे audit कराते हैं.
तो उनको बोलो ना ऑडिटर को बोलो अपनी रिपोर्ट क्वालिफाई कर दे, उससे क्या फर्क पड़ेगा? You know, there can be an objectivity. You can ask them to let him qualify his report on this particular ground that the stated assets are not at this value. देखिए ये मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ practical solution. Because हम जब यहाँ पे बैठकर deliberate करते हैं तो I always try to emphasize on what practicability is there. As far as law is concerned, you are supposed to take it on, you know, on the fair market value. India के अंदर तो आपको लेनी ही fair market value में चाहिए, लेकिन इस तरह figures लेने लगेंगे तो it will be quite difficult for us to prepare the balance sheets.
One more question है कि कहीं से लोन लिया हुआ है and आगे लोन दिया हुआ है, इंटरेस्ट इनकम हमारे एक्सपेंस भी है और इनकम भी है, तो उसका क्या ट्रीटमेंट रहेगा? मतलब ड्यूरिंग द सीआरपी व्हाट शुड बी द ट्रीटमेंट इन दैट केस?
देखिए आप इसको टैक्सेशन एंगल से आई थिंक यू आर आस्किंग मी इंस्टेड ऑफ फ्रॉम द आईबीसी एंगल. आई अंडरस्टैंड
फ्रॉम द टैक्सेशन एंगल.
या देखिए अगर आपने 100 करोड़ रुपीस का किसी से लोन लिया और उसी 100 करोड़ रुपीस के लोन को आगे आपने डिस्पर्स कर दिया 80 करोड़ रुपीस और समथिंग लाइक दैट करके, या आपने कर दिया, तो एक हमारा सेक्शन है इनकम फ्रॉम अदर सोर्सेज. सेक्शन 56 आई थिंक सबसेक्शन 2 है, उसके अंदर है, तो विच सेज दैट इफ यू अर्न, जब आपने किसी को आगे लोन दिया तो उसके अगेंस्ट आपने इंटरेस्ट अर्न करा, तो वो सेक्शन कहता है कि इस इंटरेस्ट को अर्न करने के लिए कोई भी आप डेट खर्चा करेंगे तो आप उसको उसमें से डिडक्ट कर सकते हैं. तो जब भी आप अपनी कंपटीशन बनाएंगे तो इसको आप अपने जो प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट है वहां से लेस करके अदर इनकम में लेके जाएंगे. जब अदर इनकम में लेके जाएंगे और इसके जो भी आप खर्चा करेंगे, बट रिमेंबर इट शुड बी अ डायरेक्ट कोरिलेशन, नॉट लाइक दिस की एनी इनडायरेक्ट इज दैट, आप उसमें से उसको सेक्शन 56 के अंदर उसको लेस कर लेंगे.
Sir, one small doubt, sir. I'm Ravi Shankar.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, in case of a liquidation, we are when the liquidation is prolonging for more than 1 or 2 years, we are required to prepare the balance sheet every year. Okay, since the companies in liquidation is not a going concern, we need to record all the assets and liabilities at realizable values. Right, sir? Okay. So when record for that purpose, the auditor is asking for the valuation report which you took for the liquidation purposes, so that he can record the assets at the realizable value. But if I give him that this one, what is called the valuation report, it is as good as disclosing the valuation by the valuer in the balance sheet itself. So how do you handle that kind of situation?
Okay, first of all, I tell you, in my liquidation cases which I am handling, I always prepare receipt and payment account. For that, we are given, as far as return filing is concerned, we need to file only that receipt and payment account. Whereby I filed, I think ITR 7 or something like is there, which came 3-4 years ago. Earlier it was not there. Then at that time we were having a difficulty how to file returns for these things. I never get audited my balance sheets. I'll only get audited my receipts and payment account. This is in line with our accounting standards also. Our accounting standards very clearly says that in the case of company under liquidation, they are not required to prepare any balance sheet. They are only required to prepare receipt and payment account. Mr. Ravi Chandran, this is what I am doing, and this is what my understanding of the law says.
No, sir, we are preparing a balance sheet because at the end we need to prove to.
I understand. Yes, no question comes up to be there. When at the even at the end also, you're supposed to file your receipt and payment account. What are your filing authorities? One is adjudicating authority, NCLT. Another is your income tax authority. Third is your ROC. All these three authorities are accepting your receipt and payment accounts for liquidation companies.
सर वॉलंटरी लिक्विडेशन में क्या करना पड़ेगा? उसमें भी
सर वॉलंटरी लिक्विडेशन सेक्शन 59 के अंदर होता है. इसके अंदर जो आप अपनी सेक्शन 59 आई एम हैंडलिंग वन वॉलंटरी लिक्विडेशन केस आल्सो. इसके अंदर जो आप अपनी फाइनल रिपोर्ट सबमिट करते हो, उस फाइनल रिपोर्ट के अंदर भी आपको रिसीट एंड पेमेंट अकाउंट ही देना होता है, इसके अलावा और कुछ नहीं देना होता। और इफ यू यू नो आई कैन टेल यू रेगुलेशन के अंदर से इसका रेगुलेशन है 36 37, चेक कर लेना, उसके अकॉर्डिंगली यू हैव टू सपोज टू फाइल योर रिसीट एंड पेमेंट अकाउंट ओनली। और जब ITR में इसकी रिटर्न फाइल करोगे, उसके अंदर भी आप रिसीट एंड पेमेंट अकाउंट ही फाइल करोगे।
So so another thing is that in voluntary liquidation, there is no question of valuation. So
voluntary liquidation, there is no question. You need to get value if you have assets, because when you are selling
the
them,
liquidators, the valuation has to be done by the directors before giving it to the liquidator, not by the liquidator.
Actually, in voluntary liquidation, the relevant provision says that you can't sell those assets below this value or something like that.
Right, sir. But then the valuation will be done by the directors, not by the liquidator.
Okay. In that case, if director has done the valuation, it's okay. If director has not done the valuation, then you get it done.
There is one question in the chat box by Partha Sen. Since section 238 has an overriding effect, whether amendments in IT Act will have any effect in IBC transactions?
Definitely. Section 238 says that it has an overriding effect, but at the same time, NCLT has also held in many cases. Now let's try to understand it with an example. Suppose you filed a return of an IBC company and the case comes under scrutiny, and 143 subsection 2 or 147 notice is being issued to you. At that time, you can also say that since our company is in IBC, why should we reply and comply with all these notices? It is not like that. Courts have held that these are the routine assessment proceedings, and it is not, what exemption is given to us under section IBC section 14 moratorium, a case or some sort of that is there, whereby you be given some exemption. Similarly, you are saying, but your IBC exceeds this thing there, but it does not exempt you for payment of legitimate taxes. If any legitimate taxes are there, whether under Income Tax Act, in that whether under GST Act, whether under any of the act, you are supposed to comply with it and pay the legitimate taxes there. And when you are supposed to pay legitimate taxes there, at that time, this particular IBC exceeding section won't come for your rescue, because it is your statutory obligation. IBC can come for your rescue when recovery is going to be made against that particular against those taxes. At that time, income tax, IBC can say that recovery shall be made, as per section 53 priority. But as far as routine assessment, routine determination of tax is concerned, it is the part and parcel and duty of the RP to determine correctly as per law, and you have to pay taxes as per law. Income tax as per income tax law, GST as per GST law. No exceeding section of IBC shall come for your rescue for determination of liability like this. बुकेश जी, आप भी कुछ पूछ लो, आप तो वैसे ही बड़े परेशान हो अपने केसेस से। ये हमारे मुकेश जैन सर हैं, सर इनको मैं आज मौका देता हूँ, ही इज हैंडलिंग वन ऑफ द केस। अब बड़ी यूनिक सी बात इनके साथ हुई कि जो पर्टिकुलर एम्प्लॉय से जो सीडी के जो लोग थे, उन्होंने कहा जी हम आपके अगेंस्ट ये क्या कहते हैं धरना देंगे यहाँ पे पार्लियामेंट के बाहर। नहीं, कहाँ देंगे वो, क्या कहा था उन्होंने? अनम्यूट कर लीजिए अपने आप को अनम्यूट कर लीजिए। जंतर मंतर में धरना देंगे। तो देखिए आप हमारे आईपी है ना, इस तरह की सिचुएशन में फेस करते हैं। मुकेश जी थोड़ी सी देर अपना एक्सपीरियंस शेयर करिए सबके साथ।
सर एक मीडिया हाउस है और अभी तक हम बहुत ज्यादा प्रोग्रेस नहीं कर पाए हैं बिकॉज सुप्रीम कोर्ट गिवन स्टे फॉर CIP proceedings. So I am just supposed to carry out the organization as a going concern, and various stakeholders are looking for this stay their own view from their own perspective and argue for that matter. So now with the going concern, I have to maintain. Then there is a cash flow crisis. There are many other crises. Maintain this going concern. So various challenges emerges on day-to-day basis. So we have requested Supreme Court to give a clarity on this issue. So recently, Supreme Court has advised you have to maintain as a going concern. No one can intervene in this process. In nutshell, I can tell you.
नहीं, जो आपको थ्रेटन दिया जा रहा था कि हम आपके जंतर मंतर में
There are a lot of stakeholders were there, so they were creating nuisance for that.
मुकेश सर, मतलब आपको ये कहा गया कि you should keep it a going concern.
I was maintaining as a going concern.
Yes.
But again, for maintaining going concern, they were interpreting that way. There is a stay the proceedings. Stay means that you cannot go for issuance of Form G and take further action in the CRP proceedings, but you have to maintain as a going concern. So there were challenges that if you are maintaining as a going concern, you face a lot of challenges in running the organization on day-to-day basis. So those crises, to meet their crisis, or they want their own way of handling the situation. I should handle as per their wish. As per their wish. So I sought a clarity from the court. They advised me that no one can intervene in the functioning of the RP. He has to maintain, as far as he has to maintain as a going concern.
Mukesh sir, can you share the judgment of the Supreme Court with me?
Judgment has not come, but it is a next month again the final hearing has to take place. This matter, no order has come till now. But I sought specific clarification during the hearing.
That is also in written or verbal?
But pardon?
This clarification was given in written or verbal?
Verbal during court proceedings. There are 4 advocates are appearing against me and 1 for me.
Actually, Anuradha ji, मैं आपको बताता हूँ basically इनके साथ क्या हुआ. What happened is that कि they were handling some insolvency assignment, IBC assignment, क्रिप केस सेटल कर रहे थे. कुछ स्टेक होल्डर्स इनके अगेंस्ट सुप्रीम कोर्ट में चले गए और स्टे ले आए इनकी क्रिप प्रोसीडिंग्स के अगेंस्ट. जब स्टे ले आए तो they were not allowing him to function. They were saying कि when we have got a stay against you, why should we allow you to function? And that's a very big renowned case, very big renowned case. And ultimately, Supreme Court, what he's saying, said that RP will continue. He will manage day-to-day affairs and keep the concern as a going, and no way whereby you can obstruct them. And during that obstruction, he was being.
It means I'm allowed to take the calls in case of any restructuring calls are required to be done. I can take the calls. This is basic.
Okay.
Sir, Anand sir, one more thing. Liquidation. We need to intimate to income tax authorities, like you mentioned earlier.
देखो सेक्शन 178 कहता है कि आप मेंशन करो, और उसके अंदर मैं तो हमेशा, मैंने आपको भी बताया था, इफ यू रिमेंबर, मैं तो हमेशा मेंशन करता हूँ. उसमें ज्यादा एक लेटर तो डालना होता है उनको, उनकी ईमेल पे लेटर डाल दो, और वो कुछ करते वरते है नहीं, बस वो उनकी वो क्या कहते हैं डस्टबिन में चला जाता है वो लेटर. तो आई ऑलवेज मेंशन, बट इसके अंदर एक सेफ कोड ये दिया गया है अंडर सबसेक्शन 6. सबसेक्शन 6 में ये कहा गया है कि ये 178 की जो प्रोसीडिंग्स हैं ये आपके ऊपर एप्लीकेबल नहीं. इन द केस ऑफ आईबीसी केसेस इट इज नॉट एप्लीकेबल. बट अगेन वही सिचुएशन आ गई कि व्हाट पर्टिकुलर सेक्शंस आर नॉट एप्लीकेबल, वेदर सेक्शन 178 3-4 ऑब्लिगेशन लिक्विडेटर के ऊपर डालता है. One is of intimation of start of the proceedings. Another is of disclosing him the assets. Third one is of before selling those assets, taking care of income tax dues and all these things. But just to simply as an extra question, I always inform them under section 178 subsection 2.
We can write a letter to them simply
a letter. एक जैसे आप अपने क्रेडिटर्स को लिखते हो वैसे ऐसे इनको एक लेटर लिखते हो. अब तो वैसे भी कंपलसरी हो गया ये 16 सितंबर के बाद से, जब से नई अमेंडमेंट्स आई है क्रिप की रेगुलेशन के अंदर, दैट यू आर सपोज टू इंटीमेट आई थिंक P16 ऐसा था टू योर ऑल क्रेडिटर्स इन राइटिंग की क्रिप हैज स्टार्टेड अगेंस्ट यू. क्रेडिटर तो आपका है ही है ना टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट. इफ एनी ड्यूज आर देयर, if it is not credited, even then I inform them, because these small things do help a lot in later proceedings of any dispute.
And one more thing, that we need not required to prepare balance sheet at any stage in the case of liquidation.
Yes, need to prepare a receipts and payment account only.
Only receipt payment only.
Yes,
We
yes.
don't need to. How
Haan ji,
we
haan ji.
go for the dissolution in that case finally?
सर डिसोल्यूशन में जो आप खरीदोगे बेचोगे वो सीड एंड पेमेंट में दिखा देना, उसमें दिखाने की उसमें क्या जरूरत है। और जो आईटीआर का फॉर्म है इसके लिए, उसमें भी और सीड एंड पेमेंट अकाउंट के बेस पे ही है, वो आपकी बैलेंस शीट के बेस पे नहीं है, उसकी जो डिटेल्स है। जैसे हम आईटीआर नॉर्मल वैसे आईटीआर 6 फाइल करते हैं कंपनीज के केस में, तो उसमें आपको बैलेंस शीट की डिटेल देनी पड़ती है ना, बट इन दी केस ऑफ कंपनीज अंडर लिक्विडेशन देयर इज अ स्पेशल फॉर्म, और तो आईटीआर 7 है मेरे ख्याल में, तो उसमें जो डिटेल्स हमारी सीट एंड पेमेंट की है वही डाल के भरते हैं।
They will not be complete closure. Whatever receipt and payment is there, we will go by that.
Yes, लास्ट में आपका जो बैंक बैलेंस कैश एंड जीरो हो जाएगा, that will be a disclosure.
Although some of the information we have not received from the system CD or the SY liquidator.
Till that time you don't do everything zero. You can't close your liquidation. You need
zero
to
means we return the money to stakeholders. That finally, whatever money we received, we transfer it to stakeholders.
No. Actually, your question was that some money is due which we have not received till date. What should we do for the dissolution of that particular company?
Yes,
in that case, till your all assets become does not become zero, you can't go for the final report. You need to wait and get extension from the NCLT, Adjudicating Authority, for any such pitfall, because 1 साल का period होता है, so you apply to them for 6 months or 1 year extension as per your expected time of completion of whole liquidation process.
I think Manojji, we have far exceeded the time.
Oh my God, कितना हो गया जी? वो 5 बज गए, कोई बात नहीं, चलता है. We always take a reservation of half an hour like that, but still, if any thirst is there, I would like to satisfy that and quench for that. तो किसी ने कहा कोई और क्वेश्चन है तो ठीक है, नहीं तो we can go for the closing remarks.
सर ये हमने जो आपने जो फाइनेंस एक्ट के ऊपर जो अपने ऑब्जर्वेशंस दिए हैं और आईबीसी, अभी फॉरवर्डेड इट टू डिपार्टमेंट.
सर हम लोग होता ही है कि मैं आईबीबीए के थ्रू इनको डिपार्टमेंट को फॉरवर्ड करने की कोशिश करता हूँ, एंड इन माय बजट आई डू गिव सच सॉर्ट ऑफ थिंग्स देयर, बट यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड कि पाइप की एक तरफ पानी डालो, दूसरी तरफ पहुंचा या नहीं पहुंचा, स्पेशली व्हेन गवर्नमेंट अथॉरिटीज आर इन्वॉल्वड इन इट. But in any case, let's see.
In the one day it will be passed and implemented.
Yeah, definitely.
Because
देखिए, हाँ जी,
not deliberated upon by the various stakeholders or the maybe IBBI or ministry in the right perspective, it will be implemented.
चलिए, आई विश कि आगे थे हमारी आईपी कम्युनिटीज में से कोई आईबीबीआई के अंदर सीनियर पोजीशन पे आए, सो दैट दे कैन अंडरस्टैंड देयर प्रैक्टिकल डिफिकल्टीज. बट ब्यूरोक्रेसी इज ब्यूरोक्रेसी, दे गो विद द थिंग. अब होता ही है कि वी पीपल आर ऑन द ग्राउंड एंड वी अंडरस्टैंड प्रैक्टिकल डिफिकल्टीज और envisage coming problem in a earlier manner than what they understand. So time gap is always there, but ultimately things has to be sorted out, because my firm belief is, my absolutely firm belief is, अगर आप IBC transactions को if you start taxing, then IBC will go away.
Definitely.
So can we get the copy of the presentation? One of the participants is asking.
हाँ जी, मैं अपनी प्रेजेंटेशन की कॉपी हमेशा शेयर करता हूँ, तो जो भी हैं मैं सबके साथ शेयर कर दूंगा, जिन यानी कि व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप के अंदर हम लोगों ने वो डाला है. इनफैक्ट यू डू वन थिंग, यू कैन सब्सक्राइब टू माय यूट्यूब चैनल एंड सी माय नॉट ओनली दिस प्रेजेंटेशन बट ऑल पास्ट प्रेजेंटेशन आल्सो, एंड दैट टू एट योर ईज. मैंने आज कुछ लोगों ने कहा, मैंने कहा भैया some senior advocates do called me up, they said Manoj ji, I want to join your this webinar, this thing, but then ultimately said यार इस समय तो let's earn some money by sitting with the client, we shall watch your YouTube later on.
It's better you do it in the evening hours, 8 to 10 time in the evening hours.
Sir, actually, for the last 6-7 months in our IPA, we are doing this webinar from 3 onwards. And when we have, confined to one particular time, then if you disturb now, then other persons who are routinely, joining us, then they also feel a little bit disturbed. We change our timing only when an outside speaker is not available, or some sort of parallel webinar is going on. But I take care of your suggestion and try to put forward in our executive meeting.
Not too late or not too early also. So because it is a different time, because it is very difficult to join. Somebody comes to meet us and someone we are busy with something. We can't assure, or we have to move from the office. You also must be facing the similar crisis. That way.
कहते हैं ना वो, I was hearing one lecture, तो ये हनुमान जी के ऊपर वो लेक्चर था, तो मैं he was telling ना what हनुमान जी have done and this thing. तो मेरे को लग रहा था कि एज एन हम आईपीबी उसी लेवल का काम करते हैं, ना तो हमारा कोई घर होता है, ना पैसे होते हैं, ना हमारे को कुछ वो ये कभी एक्सपेक्टेशन करनी पड़ चाहिए कि भैया वो ये काम करेंगे तो पैसे मिलेंगे। गलती करके चला जाता है सीडी, और कोर्ट कहती है जी आप इसको ठीक करो। यानी कि वो मूर्छित हो गए। वो उनकी कथा में सुना रहे थे, वो लक्ष्मण जी और क्या कहते हैं बूटी लाने के लिए हमारे को भेज दिया। अरे हमको एक्सपर्ट है, डॉक्टर है, हमारे को क्या बताइए क्या बूटी लानी है। तो फिर ला कहता है वो पूरा पहाड़ी उठा के ले आओ।
मनोज जी आई एग्री, मेरे को तो लगता है आरपी पंचिंग बैग है, जिसका मन करता है उसको पंच कर लो।
बिल्कुल ठीक बात
हाँ।
है। तो
इधर से एडजुडिकेटिंग अथॉरिटी से, इधर से सीडी, वो जो डायरेक्टर्स होते हैं अपनी गलतियां छुपाने के लिए, उधर से वो सीएफसी, मतलब आप उन सबको यही बताते हो एनीवन कैन पंच।
पर देखिए अब अगर आप क्या कहते हैं, अगर पूरे एपिसोड के अंदर अगर आप सेंट्रिफ्यूगल फोर्स देखें ना किसी भी चीज की, तो आरपी ही है जिसके थ्रू सारी चीजें मूव करती है। चाहे वो एडजुडिकेटिंग अथॉरिटी है, चाहे वो क्या नाम इसका IBBI है, चाहे CD है, सक्सेसफुल रेजिडेंट एप्लीकेंट है। तो तभी मैंने देखो एक बड़ा एप्रोप्रिएट वर्ड यूज करा है, हनुमान जी। वो थे तो राम के भगत, लेकिन शायद उन्होंने काम पूरी लाइफ में ऐसा ही करे कि वो जो शायद राम जी ने भी अपने लिए नहीं करे होंगे, बट एट द सेम टाइम फिर वो उनके चरणों में ही बैठे होते हैं। तो हमारा
वो अपने लिए नहीं जिए ना, अपने लिए नहीं जिए, किसी और के लिए जिए, वही आरपी कहलाता है।
तो हमारा रोल वही है, हम चाहे जो मर्जी कर लें, जितनी मर्जी स्ट्रेंथ दिखा दें, स्टिल you try to see the sort of disciplinary proceedings which are being taken against we RPs and this thing there, show cause notices are being issued। तो हमारे को हनुमान जी की तरह हाथ जोड़ के, चाहे वो NCLT हो, IBBI हो, MCA हो, CD हो, COC हो, that is all. I think we should end our webinar if anything else is not important from any other side.
I think thank you so much, Manoj ji, for enlightening us with such a ticklish topic, and thank you so much for the participants for this webinar, for joining the webinar. Thank you so much, Aipa.
I also thank you everybody for bearing me for 2 hours, and that too on the Saturday, on 4th Saturday, when most of the banks are and other institutions are closed. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. But I hope I've been able to make you to understand some of the ticklish things, and everybody must be realizing that what we are doing and what we are supposed to do should have created a lot of difference with my deliberation and with my enlightenment. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Anuradha ji. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.